inviting us into school this morning. I'm Liz and I'm kids pastor at the Point Church, and with me this morning I have...
Hello, I'm Will. Hello, London Meed.
Year 4 at London Meed.
Hello,
so
Year 4.
They have sent us a brilliant list of questions to ask. So I'm the kids pastor, but who are you in the church?
Well, I'm the vicar.
Well, you don't look like a vicar, because vicars on TV, just wait for that motorbike, vicars on TV always have a really weird shirt on. Do you wear a weird shirt?
Yeah, it's called a dog collar. That little white thing that goes around your neck. It looks a bit like a dog's collar, so it's called a dog collar. And yes, I have got a dog collar, but I don't wear it all the time, you know, because really it's what's on the inside that counts, not your sort of outside uniform. That's what counts with God. But, you know, for special occasions, special services and things like that, sometimes when I go into school, I wear my dog collar, I wear my special vicar uniform. But yeah, I'm not wearing it today.
I don't have a uniform as kids pastor, but I often wear my Point Kids t-shirt, so that the children that come to church know which adults are the safe adults that are looking after them. Like at school, teachers have their lanyards. Your dog collar and my t-shirt are a bit like that. So, Will, I've got a really serious question here for you. Mm-hmm. How long have you been working in your role as vicar at the Point?
Oh, I've been 17 and a half years. That's a long time. I've been at the Point, yes.
Why did you choose a career as a vicar?
Wow, that's a great question. In some ways, it wasn't my choice, but God chose me. And I always think there's sort of 3 ways you know that. It's something that I really enjoyed working in the church. So I thought, maybe God wants me to do this long term. Other people encouraged me and said, hey, Will, I think you'd be great at this. And then I prayed and I asked God to show me and to speak to me, and I just had that inside feeling that this is what God wanted me to do. So yeah, that's why I'm doing it.
Nice. The next question from the boys and girls is, why did you choose to be a Christian?
Well, it's all about Jesus. I just think Jesus is amazing, and a Christian is somebody who follows Jesus and who wants to be like Jesus and who wants to have a friendship with Jesus and live for him. And so, you know, once I've met Jesus, I thought, I've got to be a Christian. I've got to follow him. He's amazing.
Wow. So, as we all know, we've lived through a pandemic, the first pandemic any of us have lived through in this generation. How has the pandemic affected your job? What's changed?
In one way, everything's changed, and in another way, nothing has, because a vicar still has a church of people to look after and is still trying to serve the community and help people in need. So that's what our church is still all about. We're still doing exactly the same thing, but we're doing everything in a completely different way. Because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to gather together and do church together and do groups and activities together. So we've had to do nearly everything on YouTube, like
and
this,
Zoom.
and Zoom and
Teams,
video calls and all that kind of thing. So yeah, so like this, we're doing the same thing, but we're not actually be able to be there in person. So it's changed a lot.
The next question is, how do you worship in church? So maybe you could tell us how you personally worship, but how we as a church worship.
Wow, how do we worship? We worship in so many different ways. Sometimes we think worship is just singing songs, and that's a wonderful way to worship God, to sing God's praises and to celebrate who he is and what he's done for us. But also the way we live our lives, the way, you know, reading the Bible, trying to follow him and obey his commandments and just live for God is all worship. So yeah, I do love being with other people, because I love people, and like I say, in the pandemic we haven't been able to, which has been so hard. So I love being with other people and singing God's praises together. That's how I like to worship.
Brilliant. What is the best thing for you about church?
Oh, the best thing for me about church, lots of different things, but if I was going to pick one, I think probably, like I said, it's the people. I love the people. I love being a family. Church is a big family, and I love being like a big family together, looking after each other, having fun together, supporting each other, and following Jesus together.
Brilliant. What sort of events happen at the church? Now, we know that during the pandemic we haven't been able to get together, but could you tell us maybe 3 or 4 things that you usually do as a church event over the year?
Well, we've done some different things this year because, we haven't been able to do what we normally do. So we did a really, really cool kind of big prayer church event in a field. We all went to a field. Do you remember, Liz?
I do remember.
And we had different stations and everybody walked around because they had to stay 2 meters apart, and they prayed different prayers and did little exercises all the way around the field. That was a really cool event.
That was a good one.
We did a bake-off on Zoom. That was really fun, and
I really
enjoyed that. And we've got a brilliant cook in our church, and she taught us all how to make amazing chocolate brownies with a raspberry ganache.
You liked that
That
ganache
was
a lot.
really, really nice, and we all made that at home, but we were sort of joining in together. We've had a lot of fun on YouTube, haven't we, Liz?
We have.
You've been doing the Liz challenge.
Yeah.
And everyone has to kind of compete with Liz. You're not doing very well, Liz, I don't think.
I don't think I did.
You keep losing, don't you? Because the kids are so good.
Kids are so much better than grown-ups.
Yeah, at football and scooter races and all sorts of different things. So we've done lots of fun different things.
Brilliant. How many hours do you work a week, do you think?
Oh, gosh.
Because some jobs are like, you start at 8 and you finish at 6 every day, Monday to Friday. Do you have a job like that, or is your job a bit different? Yeah,
my job is a bit different. It's a bit kind of flexible because I just kind of go and see people when they're around, and sometimes that's the evenings and the weekends, and I have meetings. But I always have one day when I don't work. So Friday is my day off. I don't do any work on a Friday. That's my day of rest, or my day to do other things at home. So that's definitely when I don't work. And the other days, I kind of work sometimes a lot, sometimes a little on every other day.
Brilliant. And do you visit people at the weekends? You've already answered that because you said sometimes, I work on a Saturday because I might need to go and see somebody. And did Sunday services stop over lockdown?
They stopped, and we had to, like I said, do everything on YouTube. So instead of going to church together, everyone at home gets out their computer, or if they can put it on their TV or on their phone, and we watch our YouTube service together. And
it's live, isn't it? So it's broadcast live like TV is, and all the worship's there, and all the stories and the Bible readings and the talks and all of that. So it's like being at church, but you're at home and we all join in at the same time, which is amazing, isn't it?
And the really cool thing about that was, although it's sad not to be together, is that because of the pandemic, when churches are going together, everyone has to wear a mask,
and you can't
sing. Not allowed to sing because they don't want anyone's breath to go and infect anyone else. And because we don't actually have a church building, our church, we normally meet in a school, so we weren't allowed to meet at all because we're not allowed to go into the school. So we had to do it on YouTube. But what the great thing is, it means if you're at home, you can sing as loud as you want, you see.
And we have done
a special,
on Christmas Day, we did an outdoor service, didn't we, on the Downs, just by Jack and Jill Windmills. And then at Easter, we were able to use another church's building, and we did a service there. And back in November, we had a service in a barn, in a field. And that was really, really exciting and a different way of worshipping. We weren't allowed to sing at that one, but we were allowed to worship God in lots of different ways. So, Will, it's your turn to ask me the questions at the top.
Okay, Liz. How long have you been working in your role?
So I've been at the Point Church for just under 6 years. So 6 years ago, I came to be kids pastor here.
And what do you actually do most of the time, Liz?
So my job is so much more fun than your job. So I have lots of meetings like you do, but I also have a lot of fun because my job is all about being with boys and girls and introducing them to Jesus. So I usually do, before the pandemic, I did a lot of toddler clubs. Maybe when you were little, you went to a toddler club with your mom or your childminder or your dad or your grandma. So things like that, and do singing times, do school assemblies, do RE lessons like this. And then on Sundays, I'm in charge of all the Sunday groups for children, right from 0 years old, so tiny babies, right through to year 6s. So I get to cuddle the babies. That's part of my job. What a lovely job that is. And I get to play football, and Next week I've got a basketball evening, so lots of fun things, because actually church is not just about the service on a Sunday, but it's about living for Jesus 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, when we're playing sport, when we're watching TV. And I also visit a lot of people at home and pray with them like you do.
Wow, you know so many children, don't you, Liz?
I do. A lot of children know who I am.
So why did you choose this job?
Well, I was working in another church and I felt it was time to finish that job. I'd done what I was meant to be doing and I was looking for a job, and I just said, God, would you make it really obvious which job it was? And I felt like God said that there'll be an orange ring around it. And the Point logo is an orange heart on its side. And I saw the advert and thought, that is what God told me about. So I applied for the job and I came to Burgess Hill to work in the Point Church.
It's amazing. It's all about us being orange.
Orange was the answer.
Why did you choose to be a Christian?
Well, I didn't grow up in a church family. I'd never been to church, but I went to a club on a Monday night that was for boys and girls in my school. And every week I went and I heard stories about Jesus and how much God loved me. And I thought, I want to know him. And that I decided when I was quite young, actually, I want to know this God who loves me. And I discovered that's what it meant to be a Christian, knowing Jesus as your friend and knowing that Father God loves you.
Yeah. Wow. Wonderful. And how, the next one is, how has the pandemic affected your job?
Well, I used to spend all my time with people all the time. I'd be in meetings with the rest of the church team. I'd be at a toddler group with hundreds of people. I'd be in school with hundreds of people. And then I was just by myself in my cottage and everything was online. So rather than in kids groups on a Sunday in person, it just all became on YouTube. So everything was now pre-recorded or on Zoom. So it really changed the way I do things. So my school assemblies became recorded like this. And obviously my school lessons have become recorded like this. So it made a big effect, but actually I'm still doing the same things, just in a different way.
That's a big, big change.
Very big.
And what would you say is the best thing about the church?
The best thing about church is that everybody is welcomed by Jesus. I think that's the best thing about church.
Isn't that great? So we talked about what sort of events happen at the church.
Yep.
Anything else that you can think of?
Well, we do some really cool kids and youth stuff. So as well as what you do and I do, we've got a youth pastor, Michael, who works with secondary school young people. We've got a worship pastor called Stu. So there really is a place for everyone, and an event where everyone can connect in. And I think some of the best things for me, we've just relaunched outdoor toddler music group, haven't we? And that is a lot of fun. That's bringing me a lot of joy at the moment.
Yeah, that's nice. The other thing that I'm really excited about is the Point Olympics. We're doing
coming up in the summer.
Special Olympics event to go alongside the real Olympics. That's really going to be fun. How many hours do you work?
Well, officially I work 3.5 days. So I normally work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all day, and then Thursday morning. But sometimes, well, usually I do a bit extra. I might do some stuff on a Sunday. And if somebody's in trouble or needs some help, I'll pop and see them in the evenings or at the weekend. And actually, it's the kind of job where there aren't really set hours like yours, but I just do what I need to, the way I need to do it. And it's always a lot of fun, so I don't really feel like I work hard, even though I do lots of work.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's how we want everyone to feel like that about their job. They really enjoy it. I think that's all the questions, Liz.
So now I've got some questions that the children have sent specifically for you.
Oh, okay.
So are you ready? Mm-hmm. Why do people sing in church?
Because they love God.
Brilliant. How long has the Point Church existed?
17 years.
Do you visit care homes?
Sometimes I do.
And Stu, our worship pastor, he goes in and plays music for the older people in care homes, doesn't he?
He does.
Quite often sings to them. He's very good, our Stu. How do you join the Point Church? If someone watching was thinking, oh, I wish I could go to church, how does someone join our church or a church?
Well, you just turn up, really. You just come along. But also now, because, not everybody's meeting in the normal way, you can send us an email.
Really?
Go to our website and get all the info as how to get involved.
You could just, with your family this weekend, watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, or you can put it into YouTube and there will be.
Yeah, brilliant. Here's a tricky one. Why is Jerusalem a holy place?
Well, Jerusalem's a holy place because that's where Jesus lived a lot of his life, and he died on the cross in Jerusalem, and on the third day he rose from the dead, came alive again. And that's really what it's all about, that God loves us so much that he sent Jesus to die for us. That's amazing that he was willing to die for you and me, and then God raised him to life again. So, all that amazing stuff happened in Jerusalem, and it's a really special place because of that.
Brilliant. Now, you've talked a little bit about your role and how that works, but one of the questions we were sent was, what does the vicar do in his job? Now, there's some special things that only you can do, aren't there? What are the special things? There's some special things that boys and girls might be aware of, like weddings.
Yes.
But what other things do you do that are special to your job?
Things like weddings and funerals that vicars do, which are really special. And also, when we remember Jesus dying on the cross, we do what we celebrate Holy Communion, which is a gift Jesus gave to us, where he encouraged us to eat bread and to drink wine or juice and remember what he's done for us by dying on the cross.
We have actual bread and juice, don't we? Some churches, if you've been, you might get one of those little wafers.
Yeah.
Some churches have a wafer, but it's the same thing, doing the same thing, and the vicar always serves that. One of the vicars serves that, don't they? You also, if a baby's being christened, that's your job, not my job, isn't it? Or dedicated.
That's
or
right.
Sometimes adults get baptised. At our church, adults get baptised in total water. So you take hold of them, don't you, and dunk them under the water in a big, massive paddling pool, and they get super wet, and it's loads of fun.
That's right.
You have lots of special jobs. And you go to lots of meetings, don't you? Like in schools, helping the community and stuff like that.
And the other thing the vicar does is when people are unhappy and they want to complain, they always complain to the vicar. See, that's a very important job.
Yeah, so you have to listen, and you have to help people understand and feel better about things as well.
That's right, yeah.
Take a lot of care. Jesus described us as pastors, and they're like shepherds that look after people. So you're a bit of a shepherd to people, helping them stay on the right track and looking after them. And you do a lot of talking in your job, don't you? A lot of preaching and telling people about Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
So, how many people come to the Point Church?
I think probably about 200.
Yeah, I think about 200 on a normal Sunday.
Yeah.
There's more than that in the church, but not everyone comes every Sunday. But on a normal Sunday, about 200 people is about right. So here's a really tricky question that I get asked all the time by boys and girls. So I'm going to ask it to you and see if your answer is the same as mine. Are any animals Christians?
Oh, that's a very good question. Well, do you know what? I think all animals are, because every animal is made by God and precious to God and is actually serving God, doing what they're meant to be doing in this world in so many different ways, all the amazing animals. So I think every animal really, in a way, is I don't know about a Christian, but they're all part of God's plan.
They're all part of God's plan, but they're not really Christians because they can't really choose to believe in God, can they?
Yeah, that's right.
But did you know, in the Bible it tells us that there's going to be loads of animals in heaven and that they're not going to eat each other, because the lion is going to lie down with the lamb, it says. So it's going to be like the best safari ever, but with no death. Isn't that amazing?
That is. And the Bible says that heaven is going to be a land flowing with milk and honey. So there's definitely going to be cows and bees.
It's going to be great, isn't it? But the bees aren't going to sting anyone because there's no pain. Now, Will, you've answered all your questions, and there's just two more that the children wanted to ask me.
So many good questions.
Brilliant
questions. Liz, explain your role in the church.
So my role is anything to do with children and their families.
Brilliant. What things do you do on a normal week?
On a normal week, I do things like toddler groups, Bible stories for schools, I do RE lessons, I do Sunday kids church, all that kind of stuff.
Excellent. Why do you work with children?
Because they're brilliant.
Yeah. And very important, the last question on the sheet. Do you play video games at church?
Sometimes. Not during a Sunday service, and not during like the talk bit when we're trying to learn about Jesus. But if we're having a social hangout and it was an indoor one because it was raining, we might get Mario Kart out or some computer game that we can all play together that's like a multiplayer one, and we might play a game like that as part of having fun and chilling out together. We don't very often play computer games in the service, but there are some that really help us to learn about Jesus. So like the interactive stories you have at school, particularly for younger children, we have some of those that you can do on your iPad. If you're little, you can find all the gems hidden in the story and things like that. So yeah, we do. Well, it's been great talking about church together, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And thank you for your questions. We hope we've answered them well, and we'd love to hear from you again soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.